So I'm kind of wondering, is there any scenario at all where, in your opinion, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex could decide to send their firstborn son, Archie, to boarding school in the UK? I mean, would they have to be smoking something, or do you think there's a scenario where they could? Well, he turns 5. Archie turns 5 in a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks, because we're April 6th. So, in exactly 1 month, in 4 weeks, Archie will turn 5. And I believe 2 days later is the Invictus Games service at St. Paul's in London. So, where are they going to be for Archie's 5th birthday? If they're all in London, I wouldn't be surprised. But if they're not, I wouldn't be surprised either. With these two, I've learned that expect the unexpected, right? But what hasn't been discussed at all in the Sussex squad, as if it's any of our business. I mean, the child is 4 going on 5. He's sort of off limits. But I just read this in Hello, they did this whole thing about Archie, and I thought, wait a second, they're talking about Archie starting, kindergarten, not kindergarten. What would it be? It would be kindergarten though, right? At 5? Yeah, because it's before that, it's preschool, no? Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think he'd be starting kindergarten in September and not first grade. You don't start first grade at 5, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it would be kindergarten. And so they're talking about Archie starting school in September. He turns 5 in May. So after the summer, he's, a big boy. He goes to real school. And I just thought to myself, what? First of all, Archie's what? What? Archie is 5 already? That's the first thing. I started to wrap my head around that. And then I thought, wait a second, what if Harry and Meghan decide that they want him to get some Britishness? You know what I mean? Because he is a British citizen as well as an American citizen, and he is one of the heirs to the throne. And you have to wonder whether they would want that for their son or not, whether Meghan and, well, Harry and Meghan, but certainly Meghan even more. I mean, she's the mom, whether she would be able to part with her son to send him to a boarding school in England, A, and whether B, both of them are crazy enough to you know, brave the security issues that, the child would obviously face, among other things. I don't think there's any way in hell. I think hell would freeze over before they do it. But it's worth, throwing the question out there. I mean, do you think there's any scenario where Harry and Meghan could decide that it was in Archie's interest to go to boarding school in the UK to sort of give him some of his British, heritage and help him to, learn about his that half of his DNA. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, even Kate and William seem like they fight. I mean, I've heard that they're fighting over whether the child George would be going to boarding school or not, or day school. So it's hard to imagine that Meghan and Harry would be in California working on their businesses, their this and their that, or an ocean away, and send their son to a boarding school. Well, look, there are other American parents who have sent their children away to boarding schools in Europe. And in Europe, parents send their children to boarding school all over Europe to other countries. They live in France, their kids are going to school in Switzerland. They live in the US, in France, their kids are in the UK. It's a lot of different scenarios. So I don't think it's so far-fetched. I mean, I think in this situation, I can't personally imagine that, Meghan would go for it. Harry might be more open to it than Meghan. I don't see Meghan doing it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, if I did that, it would mean that I would move to the UK. You know what I mean? And I don't see her moving to the UK because why would you give up California, the weather, the freedom, the space, your independence, your autonomy, the distance to move back to the UK just so that your child could go to an English school when there are perfectly good schools in Montecito. But of course, I don't have all the answers. I don't know. There are many different reasons why people would do many different things. You know what I'm saying? As I'm busy speculating about other people's business. So it's way past my bedtime. Honestly, I can't do this anymore. What do you think? Do you think that they would send Archie to boarding school in England? Leave me your thoughts in the comments.